This is Total Extreme Wrestling 2020. This is CelJaded playing Tuesday, week 3 of January 2006. This is Alex speaking. And before we jump into our first segment here, you might notice something has changed. So for those who have been watching the series up until now, you might notice that I've made some adjustments to the worker pictures here. So a little bit of background. The Shifting Sands mod ships with a very nice, attractive picture pack full of full body shots of the workers, almost every single one in the game. It is very impressive. My only problem with it is that the full body shots do not scale very well, and for a game like TEW that plays in such a low fixed resolution with segments like these featuring thumbnails about the size of a postage stamp, I'm sure if you've watched on previous episodes, it's really hard to make the workers out when they're at this size, and they just look stretched and just not very good. Using full body shots at this kind of size, you're just not going to get good definition on that kind of stuff. So I've made some adjustments here. I know there are picture packs available to download for TEW that could have solved this problem for me, but you know what? I'm a designer by trade, I'm a creative by trade, I just went and did it myself. So I've gone and made my own picture pack specifically for this save. It's only for the workers in WWE, and it's only for the ones that I plan to use regularly. I've tried to match up the workers to their 2006 appearance as best I can. It will not be perfect in every instance, but what I'm hoping is that these facial profiles here just give you more definition when the video is uploaded to YouTube, that you can actually kind of appreciate the workers involved in those segments and just understand what you're really looking at compared to the old picture packs. So keen to get some feedback on that. Is it an improvement? Do you like it? Hoping that you do, because I certainly spent enough time on it, but either way, that's enough on that. So our first segment here on SmackDown, our next episode of SmackDown, it is The Undertaker sharing his vision of winning the Royal Rumble match for the first time in a real red-hot segment here from him. So great stuff, great way to start the show. It is The Undertaker. He's getting some promo time. He's getting an opportunity to showcase and re-establish himself here. And yeah, remember in 2006, of course, that The Undertaker had not won a Royal Rumble at this time. So he is just getting an opportunity to really make his intentions clear here as SmackDown rolls on. And then it is Batista who interrupts to tell Undertaker, you know what? If you're saying you're going to win the Royal Rumble, then I'll gladly face you at WrestleMania in the main event as my opponent. So Batista has no plans to lose his World Heavyweight title anytime soon. He has made that clear. We don't know who his opponent at the Royal Rumble will be yet, but he's making the point clear that if the dead man is going to win the Royal Rumble and meet him at WrestleMania, then yeah, the animal would very much appreciate that. So The Undertaker and Batista having words here, getting involved in the main title picture together. What could it mean for the future? Well, before we can find out, we've got, in true sports entertainment fashion, another interruption. So it is JBL interrupting to say, just like everything else around here, he owns the Royal Rumble match, and it will be him winning that affair. It will be him going to WrestleMania, and it will be him reclaiming the title that was once his. The only thing is that The Undertaker says he is going to own JBL's ass tonight. So The Undertaker not happy at JBL's interruption and wants a piece of him in the main event tonight. So there you have it. Undertaker is not asking, he's telling. He wants JBL in the ring tonight, and that will be our main event feature match for SmackDown. The Undertaker and JBL in a wild brawl, to be sure. Okay, next we've got Shane McMahon in a quick segment here ahead of our first match on SmackDown, introducing his new associates. So, Shane McMahon consolidating power here, and he's brought in Palmer Cannon, who we saw him talking to before, and we've got the new tag team here of Kid Cash and Jamie Noble, who will be joining Shane McMahon's little outfit here, and yeah, helping him, as I say, kind of consolidate his power on this brand. So Kid Cash and Jamie Noble, of course, were a tag team in real life. We won't be calling them the Pitbulls, but we will be chucking them together to see if they can help Shane out in this story. So first match involving them two, it's coming up next. Okay, so, well, 52 segment rating doesn't seem too bad to me, even if it is labelled as a poor match, but nevertheless, it is Cash and Noble defeating the Legion of Doom here, but there is a snag. So, behind the scenes here, which you can't see, it is the Mexicals actually interfering in this match and causing the DQ, which enables Cash and Noble to win in a very weak fashion, not what they had in mind. But the story here being, of course, and this was booked as a storytelling match to that end, the storytelling here is that Cash and Noble, of course, working for the man, if you like, Shane McMahon, the Authority, and the Mexicals in their rebellious get-up and their current gimmick are more than happy to stick it to the man and come down here and ruin Shane McMahon's big debut of his new team. So they've gotten involved, they've drawn the DQ, and already proving to be a thorn in Shane McMahon's side. And before I move on here, I just want to give some props to Road Warrior Animal. Absolutely fantastic performance from him again. Really impressed with Animal's stats on this save. Seems to be a very strong worker. So yeah, I'm definitely going to want to use him more as these episodes roll on, because someone with his experience that can hold together a match like this is very valuable. And yeah, he's got good popularity and good skills for his age, even though he has some negatives for declining physical ability. He's more than made up for his weak partner here. So yeah, some good stuff from Animal. So expect to see more of him because he is proving to be a very useful asset here in the early days of SmackDown, hopefully getting our younger workers over. And then we have got the Mexicals in a quick segment following that match, who are now taunting Shane's gang from the rampway. So it is Psicosis, Juventud Guerrera, Super Crazy, and Shelly Martinez looking really crafty here as they get one over on Shane McMahon's little group that he only just introduced. So Shane McMahon, you can bet, is absolutely livid about this, arguing with the referee, asking what the hell went wrong there. So yeah, Shane McMahon not happy with how things have turned out, with the Mexicals ruining the debut of his new team here. So you can bet he's going to have something to say about that as SmackDown proceeds. And next, we've got a rattled JBL taunting Rey Mysterio on his way back to the locker room. So JBL, of course, inadvertently got himself mixed up with the Undertaker earlier in the show, and he's feeling a bit rattled, and bully that he is, takes it out on Rey Mysterio on his way back to the locker room there. So Rey Mysterio and JBL, of course, we do have plans to involve them in the US Championship tournament that we've talked about before. This is another segment to kind of further the issue between these two men, and seems to be a pretty decent segment at that as well. So good stuff from both guys. Okay, wow, that was a remarkably strong segment from what I expected. It is Rey Mysterio getting the win over Sylvan here in reasonable fashion. So, wow, Rey Mysterio with an absolutely incredible in-ring performance here has more than made up for his lackluster partner. I can only imagine how good the match would be when we get Rey in there with someone who can put in a much stronger performance. So, yeah, very impressed here with where Rey Mysterio is currently at in his run towards the US Championship. And then, yeah, Rey Mysterio just gets a quick bonus time on the mic after that match to get his own back on JBL for those comments earlier. And it's Rey Mysterio saying that JBL is going to get an unholy ass kicking at the hands of the dead man. So Rey Mysterio reveling in JBL's misfortune and no doubt looking good after that win. So good stuff from Rey here on SmackDown. Okay, next we've got Vicky Guerrero explaining her decision to support Melina. So Vicky, of course, turned heel recently, has joined up with Melina, fellow hot chick, as she says in this promo. And it is Melina, when she gets past the mic, saying that, yeah, she's booked to face Akira Hokuto tonight, but she's found a new best friend in Jillian Hall, and Jillian has agreed to take Mel's place in this match. And Yeah, well, let's just say that Jillian doesn't look too enthusiastic about this idea, but nevertheless, here she is in the ring with Melina and Vicky, who are kind of goading Jillian on to face Akira in Melina's stead. But before we can go much further with that thought, here is Akira Hokuto herself, and she is introducing each member of her faction, which she is calling Risen's Son, which, is just a quick name I came up with, maybe a bit more generic than I thought, but it'll do for now. So it is Akira Hokuto introducing her fellow Japanese women wrestlers here in Ayako Hamada, Meiko Satomura, and Michiko Omukai, a contingent of talented Japanese women wrestlers here who have invaded SmackDown with the sole purpose of taking down the arrogant Melina, as Akira is calling her in this promo. So it is Akira here leading the charge with her ladies, and even though Melina and Jillian both are in the ring here, it is Akira approaching the ring fearlessly while the other members of this faction watch on. And, well, it's looking like it's going to be a handicap match. So here it is, Akira Hokuto now in action against two women. And what do you know, that actually went pretty well. So in a very short match, this was more of a storytelling affair here. So it is Akira who gets the win here with the, oh, what a great name that is for a finisher, the Dangerous Queen Bomb. Damn, I love that. That's great stuff. So it's Akira here getting the win in very dominant fashion over Jillian. And the story, which you might see is quite obvious here, it is Melina hiding behind Jillian, taking a dive out the ring and kind of letting Jillian do all the work, such as it is. There isn't really much to do because it is Akira who just absolutely kicks Jillian all around the ring and then, puts her away in convincing fashion. And a really nice performance out of Akira here. And this is exactly what we were hoping for, is that even though these Japanese women wrestlers aren't very well known in the States and will be suffering from low popularity rating as a result, they definitely do have the in-ring performance to get themselves over that way. Or at least that's the hope. Either way, this was a bit of a long shot. Again, I've never played this game before. I'm hoping in my head I can see it working, of talented workers getting over in the ring when all else fails. So hopefully we can make it work. But overall, considering the length of the match, I'm quite and the talent involved, remembering that we do have some inexperience penalties here on the sides of Melina, and her being off her game as well surely didn't help. But I still think this is a reasonably decent number. It's in the green there for a quick squash match. And again, with the aim of putting Akira over strong here and telling the story that Melina doesn't want any part of this woman, this legendary woman who is putting in near legendary performances as well. So, nice stuff here. And then a quick bonus segment afterwards as well, and it is Akira again getting some time on the mic to explain how she will be leading by example here for her faction, who have watched on with this dominant performance with bated breath. And it is Akira now saying that she wants Melina at the Royal Rumble. There will be no more hiding. Next Sunday at the Royal Rumble, Melina and Akira one-on-one. Akira wants that match, and she is not going to leave Melina alone until she gets it. So Vicky and Melina looking very upset with this development, and the other members of Risen's Son watching on here as their leader makes it clear that she is going to be taking control of the women's division, such as it is on SmackDown, and making a big statement as well. So overall, good stuff. Forward the story here for our ladies on SmackDown as we move on to the next segment. Okay, so it is Shane McMahon here meeting up with Bobby Lashley, and he is informing Lashley that Lashley will face Mark Henry next week to decide Batista's challenger at the Royal Rumble. So, as we know, Batista will be defending the World Heavyweight Championship against the Royal Rumble. What we know now is that man he defends it against will either be Bobby Lashley or Mark Henry, and we'll know the answer to that next week. Of course, all three men have already been involved in a lot of segments together already, and Shane McMahon making it official here. Mark Henry and Bobby Lashley next week. Winner of that is the number one contender, and Lashley looking very confident here in this segment with Shane. And we've even put Crystal Marshall by his side as well as his manager to help give him a boost on the run up to this very big match. So good stuff for Bobby in the future if he can hold it together. Okay, and then we're back with the World Heavyweight Champion, who is now being interviewed backstage, and he is taking a moment here to brush off Orton's remarks last week as Randy just being Randy. So Randy Orton, of course, has been throwing shade Batista's way for a while now on the last couple of episodes of SmackDown, and Batista hasn't had an opportunity to respond to that yet, so this is his moment to do that. But he's just playing it cool here. He's not letting Randy get under his skin. He's just like water off a duck's back to our Dave. He's brushing off Orton's remarks and he's not worrying about it. But before we can finish this interview, we always need an interruption. And there's a big one coming his way. So Mark Henry and Randy Orton interrupt Batista here in this interview segment, and Orton gets in Batista's face and he uses this opportunity to put over the man standing next to him. So it is Orton saying that Batista will be facing Mark Henry at the Royal Rumble because Henry is going to beat Bobby Lashley next week. He will become the number one contender, and when he does, and when he beats Batista, Randy and Mark, they've already agreed that they'll be more than willing to work with each other in the title program once Batista is out of that picture. So Randy Orton and Mark Henry seem to be allies here for the moment, and Batista has definitely got his hands full with his old running buddy and definitely with the world's strongest man as well. So big things ahead for Batista if he's not careful. Next, we've got Matt Hardy telling Chavo Guerrero that he'll get revenge for him against William Regal. So last week we saw Regal, who got a cheap shot on Chavo Guerrero after beating him in their match last week. And it was Matt Hardy who came to the rescue of Chavo, because apparently on this episode the babyfaces are actually friends and do stick up for each other, which is a pretty novel concept. But nevertheless, so it's Matt Hardy. He's out for revenge here for his buddy Chavo, and he will be fighting William Regal next. But before we get there, we've got one more thing to go through, and that is this strange woman who has appeared out of nowhere here and says Matt Hardy's name. And Matt Hardy turns around and he sees this woman and he goes pale as a sheet and he walks away upon seeing her. And Chavo's wondering, what the hell was that all about? And that's it for now. Just a quick tease for this segment. Of course, you can see her name on the screen there. It is Trinity, but in kayfabe terms, this strange unnamed woman has just arrived here in this segment, called out Matt Hardy by name, and Matt Hardy clearly has some history with this woman because he's walked away and does not seem pleased to see her at all. So what could this be teasing? Interesting stuff here with Matt Hardy and this strange woman, Trinity, who has suddenly appeared out of nowhere. So stay tuned to see more on that development. But as for the match, it is a good one because once again, William Regal putting in a great performance, which we seem to be seeing a lot of from him, which is really good stuff. And he is getting the win over Matt Hardy here, using the ropes for leverage like a true heel. So Matt Hardy, this isn't a storytelling match necessarily, but we can imagine the story in the match here as Matt Hardy is, much like JBL was earlier, looking a bit rattled and a bit shaken over what happened before. His mind wasn't totally in the game here, and he paid for it because William Regal got the better of him, and William Regal's taken no prisoners at the moment, so he used that moment of weakness against Hardy and has defeated him in pretty convincing fashion here in short time. So Matt Hardy not successful in his quest to beat Regal here, and it is Regal after the match saying that he wants respect, and it's high time that he reminded everyone how legit he is. So William Regal here is very much shedding the last vestige of his previous royalty gimmick. He's full into the Street Fighter kind of hard case tough guy character that he's kind of known as in real life, and he's making that very clear here in this promo that he is here to stay. The new William Regal is here to stay. Now, what's interesting about this is that before we can totally finish with Regal, the main event is beginning. Regal has run over on time, and the lights go out, the music plays, the gong plays, and out walks the dead man himself in full regalia, the jacket, the hat, the pyro, the smokes machine, the ominous music, you name it. It is the Undertaker in full character here, and as he walks down to the ring for his match with JBL that we discussed earlier, he is passing William Regal on the ramp, and he pauses to glare at Regal, the death stare that Undertaker is known for. But Regal stands firm, to his credit, stands firm against the Undertaker here. He might have cheated to win the match earlier, but he's showing some mettle here against the babyface Undertaker. So an interesting development there as Undertaker passes him on the ramp, looking into the eyes of a heel that doesn't back down. So interesting psychology. We'll have to see where that goes in the future. But good stuff here from both guys. And next up will be the main event. So that is John Bradshaw Layfield and Undertaker. It's a wild brawl booked for the main event of SmackDown in a big feature match. And it's coming up next. Okay. And it's a bout with great heat and good wrestling, so can't ask for much more than that. And it is Undertaker defeating JBL by pinfall with the choke slam, and there it is. Undertaker has cemented his return to the SmackDown brand in dominant fashion here by putting it away JBL very convincingly after JBL's interruption earlier. So Undertaker, as we go off the air on SmackDown, and again in strong fashion, love to see it. He is drawing strength from the crowd as SmackDown goes off the air and really reveling in the atmosphere here of being one of SmackDown's major stars. So good stuff as we end the show. And as we finish, we'll get our final rating. And it is a 76, so a pretty decent rating at that. So we do still have some work to do in the mid-card. There is some weak segments here that kind of result, again, of low popularity and the kind of things that I've mentioned before. But I think overall in storyline, we are starting to make some decent progress now. Of course, next week will be the go-home shows to the Royal Rumble for Raw and SmackDown. So it'll be important, even though, again, there hasn't been a tremendous amount of time, it'll be important to develop what story threads we can heading into that pay-per-view to hopefully have a much stronger showing than we did with New Year's Revolution. So that is CelJaded Plays TEW 2020 for Tuesday, week 3 of January 2006. We will see you next time with the next episode of Raw. See you then.